So guys, from today onwards, we are going to start our application development using Angular. So first of all, we will understand the Angular application architecture, how they have designed the application, right, framework, how they have designed, how the application is going to be executed behind the scene, what are the things is going to be happening, what is the folder structure they have provided, why they have provided so many files and folders, right? All these things we are trying to understand in today's session. We are also going to discuss the step-by-step process, right? How our Angular application is going to be executed by browser and how the things are going to be happened behind the scene. All these things we are going to discuss in today's session. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to create a new Angular application using Visual Studio Code. Then I will show you what is the default file and folder structure, why they have provided so many files and folders, what is the use of each file and folder. Then I'm going to show you how actually the Angular application bootstrap, right? So that you can get a clarity, right? Why they have provided, so that from where the application execution starts, then how the component will come into the picture, how the routing will come into the picture, right? What is the use of all these class files, whatever they have provided, all these things we are trying to understand. So let us start by creating a new application. So first of all, what you need to do, you need to open, right, Visual Studio Code. I just open Visual Studio Code. So, right, and from this Visual Studio Code, okay, let me, delete all these things. Okay, let me close this. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new project. So here I need to create a new project. So basically go to the, open the folder. So in my application within this Angular, project. So within this Angular project, I'm going to create a new, within this Angular, where is that folder? Yeah. Within this folder, I'm going to create a new project, right? So already you can see one project is there. So within this folder, I'm going to create another project. So open new terminal. So once you open new terminal, so guys tell me what is the command we need to use to create a new project? Tell me.
And new,
Sorry.
ng new,
Continue and
NG stand
project
for,
name.
okay, NG stand for Angular.
Angular.
New stand for new project. And next, what you can do, you can give your project name. Suppose I give my project name as my first half. Any name you can give, my first half. Any name you can give, and then press the enter button. So once you click on this, right, it will ask you many things, right? What is the default styling you want to use? Go with the default CSS. Do you want to use SSR? No, I don't want to use SSR at this point. Okay. Then do you want to use any, right, artificial intelligence tool? No, I don't want to use any. So once I click on this button, then it will start installing all the packages which are required for Angular application, right? So what are the packages it is going to include? It is going to include all the Angular related packages, all the dependency injection related packages. It is going to create a demo application, right? So that you can start, right, executing the application. You can see the starting, or what I can say, the welcome page, right? All these things are going to be happening behind the scene, right? Also, it is going to create the complete, right, structured project structure, right? That complete project architecture it is going to create, as we already discussed, right? Angular is basically for creating, right, real-time application. So as a real-time application means what? Means it is going to be a structured approach. So structured approach means you have to follow appropriate structure, so that so that very complex application, even though multiple team members are going to work in that application, right, you can manage the application code very easily. So once you can see your project is created, right, next what you can do, you can open that project folder. So how? Now open folder and go to Angular project, and this is the file, right, folder, my first app. So select this one, and once you select, right, you can say this project is being created. Now within this project, right, by default you can see, right, there are so many folders are there, .vs code, .node models, public, src. You can also see some file like editor config, git, ignore, Angular JS, package JSON, right, readme, tsconfig.json app, right, tsconfig.specification.json. So many files are provided. So now let us try to understand what is the use of each folder, and what is the use of each file, whatever they have provided by default. Clear? What we are going to learn first? We are going to understand the default folder structure and file structure, right? So let us try to understand this thing. So first of all, you can see they have provided one VS Code folder. So you can see this VS Code folder they have provided. So what is the use of this VS folder means, guys? Remember, this VS folder is not meant for Angular application. This VS folder is not meant for Angular application. It is for a developer. This folder going to contain settings, right, related to Visual Studio Code only. So means what? Now how the code is going to be formatted in the Visual Studio, how you can debug the application, what are the recommended extensions, right, that are required for Visual Studio. So those informations are going to be content in the Visual Studio, right, going to be content within the VS folder. So this folder, guys, remember, it's not part of the Angular runtime. So right, code inside this folder is going to be never executed. It only improve the user experience. For example, if you take the real time, right, layman understandable example. So the VS code, you can consider it is going to be your chair height and the monitor position in your office. So on what height you are putting your chair, right? Where is your monitor? So according to your monitor, it is going to put the chair, right? What is the benefit? The benefit is that, right, you can work comfortably, but it is doesn't going to make any changes to your actual product. It only make your life easy, right? So that you can comfortably work. Similarly, this VS folder going to contains the files, right, which you are not going to be right, deal with your application development. It is specifically going to deal with the Visual Studio only. So how the project is going to be formatted, how the debugger is going to be work in Visual Studio. So these things are going to be contained inside the Visual Studio VS Code folder. Clear? This first folder is clear.
Yes.
And we never going to work anything. We are not going to edit anything, changes anything within this folder. Keep it as right, as simple as it is. The next folder you can see, right, in the project, that is going to be node module. So and you can see so many right, what I can say, some folders are there, and this is also one of the folder that we are not going to work. Let us try to understand what this folder is going to contain. So this folder contains all external libraries and the dependencies required by Angular. So basically, if you are developing one Angular application, for successfully starting from developing to still deployment, what all external libraries and dependencies are required, those things are going to be content within this red folder. For example, Angular framework packages. So whatever the packages are required for Angular framework, whatever the packages are required for a TypeScript, whatever the packages are required for RxJS, whatever the packages are required for building and testing, right? All these packages are going to be content within this nodes model. So when you create the project, by default, those packages are going to be installed inside this model automatically. You do not need to do anything special. While you are creating the project, it will download all the dependencies, all the external libraries, and that are going to be put inside this node modules folder. Clear? Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? So now, the next folder you can see, the next folder is going to be public folder. See, what is this public folder? Now, this public folder, right, is going to be used for files that must be served directly as it is. So basically, if you are having one file which has no, which doesn't have any relation with Angular, and that file you want to serve as it is to the client, to the browser, then you can put that file within this folder. So basically, this is not related to Angular application. This is a public file, and that public file is going to be served as it is to the client in this case browser. For example, if you are implementing some kind of application where you need Google verification, add.txt file, sitemap.xml, red fave icon, right? So these are some of the static file, right, which you want to serve as it is to the browser. But this file doesn't have any relation with your application, I mean your Angular application, then those files you need to put inside this folder. For example, what is the favor icon? Right? For example, suppose if you are implementing any application, right, you want to implement the add.txt file, which right, going to be checked by some other application as it is. Then those file you need to put inside the right, what I can say, this public folder. For example, if you say this is my application, right? So this is my project now. Inside this project, suppose I'm writing this arts.txt. I think this art, okay, so T is missing. Yes, so you can say this is a text file, it is coming as it is, right? So if you are going to return such files which doesn't have any impact, right, on Angular application, you can put such public file within this folder. So public files means these are the files which is going to be written as it is to the file without doing any kind of changes, modification by Angular. Right? For example, no, right, wave icon, right, verification file, robot.txt, art.txt, sitemap.xml. So these are the files, right, which you can return, right, from this public folder. Clear? Clear, guys?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, sir.
The next one is going to be the SRC folder. And this is the heart of the Angular application. Guys, remember, this is the heart of the Angular application. And most of the time, we are going to work inside this folder only. So basically, if you want to create a component, if you want to create a template, if you want to create some services, if you want to configure routing, and whatever the application logic, business logic, and whatever the logic you are going to implement, those logic, right, whether it is business logic, UI logic, whatever, styling, anything that needs to be put inside the SRC folder only. So when you are saying I'm working on Angular means you are working with some files and those files are going to be definitely put inside the SRC folder. So most of the time, 100% of time, we are going to work with this SRC folder. So it is the main file, it is the main folder where it is going to contain all the application related logic. That logic may be some service related logic, that may be logic related to CSS, that logic may be related to UI part, right? Anything means that is coming as part of the SRC folder, means the source of the project. Everything, right, you want to create that needs to be created within this SRC folder. Clear? Clear, guys?
Yes.
Right. So next, what you can see, editor config. So basically, what happened now? Once we created one project, and once we add that project, right, into GitHub, then multiple developer going to ready clone that project and they can start working on that project. Now, if you want to provide a common formatting rule, right, that consistent indentation, consistent line heading, right, cleaner git repository, right, then in that case, whatever the configuration you need to provide, if you want to provide the same configuration to all the developer, right? So whether you are using, right, what I can say, uh, Visual Studio Code, whether you are using Sublime, whether you are using Atom, right? Different what I can say editor you can use to work with. Even though you are going to use different kind of editors, so when you get the project source code, right, how that project coding is going to be formatted, that configuration logic is defined at here, so that irrespective of the developer, irrespective of the, right, what I can say, editor, what you are going to use, you will feel the same way. Like the way I'm working with the Visual Studio Code, the same way you are going to work with the Atom, with the same way you are going to work with the Sublime. This Atom, Sublime, Visual Studio Code, these are nothing but different editors using which you can develop Angular application. So again, this is not related. This file is also not related for our purpose. It is one time created, and we are going to work with the SRC folder. But yes, to make the things right consistent. For example, you can consider it is the dress code of your right organization or you can school. So basically, everyone needs to follow the same style. So this it is going to be like this. So it will give you consistency irrespective of the editor. Clear?
Yes.
Right. And this git ignore, you can say this is a file. So apart from this edit config, the next file is a git ignore. So what is this file? Now basically, whenever you are using with the source control or version control, right? Yeah, always you are not going to put everything into the source code. I mean into the GitHub. So some of the files you don't want to put in the right, what I can say, GitHub directory. So for example, You can see this model, ng model. I don't want to load this ng model right into the GitHub, because if I'm putting this ng model, that package size is going to be that project size is going to be very high. And every time, whenever someone downloading, right, at that time, this ng model can be automatically created, and it can download the right required library. So basically, this git ignore means what? Now, whatever file you don't want to put inside the Git repository, those files you need to put inside this right git ignore file, JSON file. So basically, it is going to be a JSON file. So within this file, right, whatever the things you don't want to put as part of a git, that's what you need to put here. So for example, ng model, any temporary files, or whatever the build output, these are the things we don't want to put in the git ignore, right, in the git. So you can put those right information within this file. The next one is Angular JSON, right? Guys, remember the next file you can say Angular JSON. See, so Angular JSON means what? Now, yes. See, whenever we are working with a right terminal, we are using ng right command. For example, once you create the project, we are using ng build to build the application. We are using ng sort command to, what I can say, to run the application. So these command informations are provided as part of this Angular JSON file. So this Angular.json file tell if you are using ng build, what is the meaning of this build, that what it is defined here. If I'm using ng-sort, what exactly it is going to, that the information is provided here. So basically, you consider this is the instruction manual for Angular CLI. So if you are using any Angular CLI command, then what that command is going to do, that information is going to be provided as part of this Angular JSON file. Clear? Clear?
Yes.
Right. Now again, you can see package.json, package.log.json. So there are two files. So what is this file? So this package.json file basically going to write contains the project information, right? So project information means what? What is the project name? What Angular version the project is using? What external libraries it is referencing? So all this information it is going to contain within this package.json file. Suppose if you open this right package.json, so it is saying, right, what is the project name, right, what are the ng command, right, all this information it is containing, right. You can see Angular dependencies, this information it is going to put inside this package.json file. So again, this package, another file you can see package.log.json. So basically, what exactly it contains, right? So in package.json, you can have a multiple version, but to which version this project is targeting, right? That complete version information it is keeping here. So many packages are there. For each package, whatever the, right, for example, Angular compiler version, this is the fixed one. Angular core library, this is the form. So basically, you can see this package.json going to give you the information. It is going to provide what all packages are available. And this package.log.json going to exactly specify what version of the package, I mean, what version of the dependencies are used within the project. Again, we are not going to dealing with this package JSON or package.log data JSON file. This is going to be generated managed by the system. Clear?
Can you repeat why that we maintain the two package lock and package?
Yes. Here, what exactly it is containing? It is containing the rules. For example, Angular command, right? So Angular command, Angular compiler, that is detailed information is going to be provided here. So if I'm executing this one, right, or you can say, so basically this is the project, that project information it is providing. And for each right model or whatever, you can say in the ng model, so many packages are there, right? But which package this project is targeting? That package, that particular version information it is going to store inside this package. For example, if you are using this ng models, this is one package. So this package can have multiple version. But which version this project is targeting, that information it is putting here. Where from where this package is resolved, what is the integrity, right? That information. So you have to understand. One, I'm specifying that package information. Second, that information it is downloading from where. For example, you can see this is one package. That package it is downloading from this location.
Okay, this
Right?
is not available in package.json, right? This
Yes.
where it is getting downloaded.
Yes. Here it is only specifying what packages are available. But this
Okay.
package, where it will get the code for this package, right? That information it is putting here. Clear?
Panay, can you please again explain editor config?
Okay.
Editor config, can you please again?
You just said editor config means what, right? So do you think that Visual Studio Code is the only editor which allows you to develop Angular application?
No.
No. So you can use a different editor.
Yes.
So the formatting what I'm developing, for example, I developed this application using here. So in this application, whatever the formatting rules, regulations I'm applying, we want to apply the same set of configuration to other developer who are using different kind of editor. Yes. Then in that case, this editor config going to contain those information, right? What is the right indented? What is the right? I mean, how the project is going to be format the new line, right? So all these things it is going to put inside this editor config, right? Build output, not this one. So consistent indentation, consistent line ending, right? So cleaner git history. So this information it is going to put inside this work. So here you will get all these information, right? So basically you will get, right, that consistency. What is the new line? What is the white space, independent size, right? Those information we are defining here, and that will be applicable to, right, the complete project irrespective of the editor you use. Clear?
Yes.
So the next one is we have discussed the package.json. Next one is a TS config, right? So TS config means what? Angular uses a TypeScript. Guys, remember Angular uses a TypeScript, not a plain JavaScript. And when we are using TypeScript, it provides some language feature. So do we want to strictly follow the rules and regulations? What features are provided? What compilation behavior is provided, right? So this TS config.json, it is going to provide some set of configurations, right? It doesn't care whether the code, whatever you are going to be written, that is app code or a test code. Guys, remember, code means your application code. Test code means your test case. So basically, if you remember, if you are working with any .NET application, you are creating controller service classes and all this thing. Again, you are creating a unit test project. So again, in Angular also, you can create a unit test project, unit test code. So this app code means your actual code. This test code means it is for testing your application, right? And here, whatever the configurations we provided, it will applicable to both the app code and the test code. Now, if you want to provide some specific configuration, right, for the app, you can configure, right, that configuration is going to be provided within this tsconfig.app.json. You can see tsconfig.app.json, and this tsconfig.json, this is for unit testing. So this is for our application code, and this is for unit testing code. So if you are writing some right application code, and you want that I need to follow strict rule, you can define here. If you are following some specification, I mean unit testing code, you want to define some that different rule, you can modify that config file. So this is for the
What kind of role we can give, sir? What kind of rule we can specify over here?
yes, I mean what type of safety rules you want to follow. So do you want to
Yeah.
allow strict safety features or not? For example, if you remember, right, in C sharp, right, right, that nullable warning. So do you want to ignore that warning? Do you want to ignore such kind of right concept? Right. For example, if I'm having one variable, right, and do I want to allow my application to proceed when that variable doesn't have any value, or do I want to allow my application to proceed when such kind of variables having null value? So such kind of rules you can define, right? If you want that your app code should not proceed without a valid value, okay, you can define. If you want your test code to be proceed without such values, then you can also define. Why? Then because sometimes what happen in testing, right? You might not be work with the actual data, and whenever you are working with the testing data, you can handle the right such kind of scenario. So basically, your rules and regulation might be vary, right, depending whether you are running your application or whether you are running your test code. Clear? Again, if this is not clear, don't worry. So as we progress, right, once we start developing the application, or right, I will show you how you are creating that your main application, how you are creating your unit test application. So for unit testing application, what configuration you need to do so that it can ignore some of the settings which is provided by global config. So this is possible, right? And again, we are going to discuss this thing, once we start developing our unit testing project. Clear? Because the unit testing is also as part of the syllabus. So for now, just remember different kind of settings, configurations you can provide. Some of the configuration, whatever you provide within this tsconfig.app.json, this is for your application code. If you specify tsconfig.specific respect.json, this is for your unit testing project. Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? And this readme file means this is the first file which you need to start reading, right? Whenever you are developing any kind of application, this is going to tell what the project does, how to run it, how to set it up, right? Any configuration, right, which is required, that information you can provide. Again, you can see there are two more folder, right? One is Angular folder, another one is a dist folder. This Angular folder is used internally by Angular CLI for improving the caching and metadata when you run the application, and this folder is going to be generated when you build the output. For now, you can see there is no Angular folder and all this thing. Why? Because we have not yet run the application and build the application. So what I'm going to do, so this is my first app. So what I'm doing here, I'm building the application. What command I need to do? ng build. So once I build, then I should see this dist file, this folder. You can say this folder is there, which is going to contain my what I can say, that the compiled code. So this is going to contain my compiled code, and that compiled code you need to publish into the what I can say, server. And this Angular, it is going to contain the internal framework related code, and what is the use of this code? Now basically, whatever the Angular CLI command you are going to use to improve the performance, it can cache some of the data, some of the metadata it can cache. For improving the Angular CLI performance, it can cache the Angular command, right? So that uh, that Angular command, whatever you are going to use, you can reuse them. Right? For example, I don't need to retype this on ng build. So once I just scroll down, up, down, right, I can get this thing from caching. So that improvement they have done with this one. Again, this is not related to our application. This is required, right, when you are publishing your application code. Clear? Clear? Is that clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
So this is folder file structure, and then most of the time we are only going to deal with this SRC folder. Rest of the folder, if you are not understanding, day by day, once we proceed, you will get clarity. But for now, we are going to keep focus on this particular SRC folder. Now we need to understand how an Angular application starts. So basically, right before learning, right before start working with Angular, we need to understand how the Angular application bootstrap. See, Angular application doesn't start at all once. So you don't consider that I run the application and Angular study. It is not like that. It will follow a clear defined phase. So it is going to follow a step-by-step process where each steps have a clear responsibility. It will move from browser to compile the JavaScript code to the Angular framework and finally to the component. So basically four things, you need to understand. Browser, compiled JavaScript code, Angular framework, and the component. So what is this browser, JavaScript, Angular, and UI? Let us try to understand. So basically, you can see this is the step-by-step process. First of all, your browser is going to load the index.json, index.html file. So in your project, you can see whenever you create by default a project, you can see there is a file called index.cs, index.html, right? So this is the file that is going to be loaded for the first time. So basically what exactly it means? It means when you visit any particular URL developed using Angular, then by default that index.html file is going to be raw. This is the landing page. So that file is going to be load. So in this file, right, by default, So once it loads the index.html file, it is not going to fire any kind of Angular code. So basically, it is not going to fire any kind of Angular code. So in this file, we should have one root component, uproot row. I mean, this uproot HTML tag. So this uproot tag, what is this uproot tag, guys? Remember, now this uproot tag, it is not an HTML tag. So this is not a HTML tag. This is not a JavaScript tag. This is just a placeholder. Later on, Angular is going to replace this placeholder with some UI element. So when the application begin, it will execute this index.html file. First point is clear? Clear or
Yes.
not?
So you are
So
saying the app root would be replaced with the actual HTML for browser to run?
yes, how it is going to be done, I will explain step by step. But for now, when the browser render for the first time, right, this is the page that is going to be load. And when it load, it will load this index.html, and this app root is going to be considered as a simple tag. So basically, this is not HTML tag. If it's a text box radio button, a text box and a radio button is going to be displayed. Browser doesn't know what is this. Browser doesn't know what is this. So then second thing, at this point of time, right, when this index.html is load, so there is no JavaScript, right, there is Angular application is not yet coming into the picture. So simply you just remember, this is the first file that is going to be load when we visit the website, and this file is going to be load only once, first time, not again and again. And this file, right, going to contain one element, and this element later going to be filled by the Angular with the actual UI. So for time being, this is the first file that is going to be load when you run the application or when you visit the Angular application. Clear?
Yeah, I understand that part. I have query on will app root will be in the client side or in the server side it will be converted.
Going to explain why you are in a hurry.
Okay.
So first of all, you remember, first of all, you understand when I visit the Angular application, what file is going to be executed first time. Is that clear?
Yeah, got it.
It is the index.html file. And you also understand within this index.html file, we have defined one element, right? That element is not HTML tag, that element is not JavaScript, that element is not Angular. This is just a simple element. And that element later on, right? I'm saying later on, going to be updated with the actual UI element. So just remember this thing. How that is going to be replaced, right? Who will replace this thing? I will explain. But when this file is loaded, so there is no Angular activity yet. Clear?
Yeah, what do we call
Yeah.
this tag? As browser will treat this tag as the text, or how it is treat this Angular component?
It is not going to print anything yet. Right? It is just
Okay.
load the right. I mean, right. For understanding that, you need to understand, right? What is DOM element? Do you know what is a HTML attribute and DOM properties?
Yeah.
So basically, browser consider this is a simple text file. Before
Okay.
printing anything, before rendering anything, browser will understand this is a simple text file. So what is
Okay.
right? How it is going to be handled, right? What is HTML attribute? What is DOM, DOM properties? How they are going to be converted? That's what I'm going to discuss in the next session. For
Okay.
now, as of now, the browser will consider this is a simple text file. It will consider everything as a text because that rendering is not yet done. Clear? Clear?
Yes.
Right. So
Yes, sir.
now just remember browser, execute browser will consider this is going to be a simple text file, and that's it as of now. So once this is done, right, then what happening? Now browser, right, along with this, Angular also going to inject some JavaScript file. So basically, you can see within our application, some Angular, right, what I can say, some Angular JSON file is there, right, or you can say in this case, you can see some. If you open this, so you are going to have app.config.ts, right? For this TS, one JS file is going to be generated. Many things are there. But now remember, right? So when I load my HTML file, that HTML can also reference to some JavaScript file. Is that possible? Reference to some right JS file, and reference to some CSS files. Yes, sir.
Yes, it's possible.
Yes.
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 So basically, now in case of an Angular application, right? In case of an Angular application, so when this index.html file is loaded, right? At that time, the Angular also build a bunch of JS file, and those JS file are also going to be referred from the index.html file. So in this case, you can see those file that is going to be injected right by automatically by the framework, and those files are going to be injected right into this html.js file. So basically, what exactly it means? Now, when the page is load, first of all, it will load this HTML file, and within this HTML file, if it has referred to some JS file, those JS file also the server is going to call those JS file or not? Yes
Yes,
or no?
call.
Yes. And again, within this HTML file, Angular already injected some JS file. And one such JS file is going to be main.ts. So here you can see main.ts. Once you build this project, it will also create one file that is main.js. That JS file is also injected right into this index.html file, and browser is also going to call that a JS file. Clear?
But only main.js file is injected, or all TS file that is converted into JS, all those are injected.
So why it will inject all those? Is that any need?
Okay, okay.
Right? So whatever the JS file you refer, and from the Angular point of view, it is the main.ts file, right? So and
Okay.
right, and intentionally they have provided this main.ts. For example, if you develop any C# application, program execution is going to be start from the main method. Why? Because they have designed in such a way, right, that from there only main right program execution is going to start. So in the same way, the Angular framework they have designed in such a way, right, when your index.html file is being loaded, so it is also going to call your main.js file. So here I'm saying main.ts. Actually, this main.ts is nothing but your right main.js file. So why I'm saying? Because technically in our application in Angular point of view, it is main.ts. From the browser's perspective, it is going to be main.js. Right. So once this right main.js file is going to be run, or this main.ts is going to be run, what is going to be happening? So it is going to start the Angular runtime. It is going to prepare the bootstrap. So basically, it is going to do two things. What are the things? It is going to start the Angular runtime, and it is going to prepare the Angular bootstrap, right? So first of all, this step one is clear. Clear?
Yes.
So step two is going to be, okay, let me do one more thing. So to make you understand this thing very clearly, let me copy this one from this image in MS Paint.
Sir,
Okay.
you mentioned in the first one empty app root. What does it mean?
Sorry?
In the first, no, the diagram, first box, browser load index.html. There you mentioned the empty app root.
Basically, right, what I'm saying now, when the browser load, is app.root is empty, or it will be the actual right UI element.
Empty.
So that is what I'm mentioning. So
Okay.
when the browser load for the index.html, at that time this is going to be empty. So in this case, that static HTML is going to be load, right? The app.root is going to be empty, and at this time it is going to load our JS bundle. So bundling and minification, there is a different course concept altogether. If your application have a multiple JS file, it is going to load all those JS file in a single request. After loading all this thing, it will call this main.ts file. So this is going to be the step two, right? So in step two, what is happening, right? Once the browser finishes loading the JavaScript bundle referred in index.html, then it start executing them. So one of the bundle file is going to be main.ts. This is where, right, officially our application is going to be start, right? So let us try to understand, right, this code. So what is the code? Let us try to observe. So what is that file? Main.ts. So in this case, this is going to be our main.ts. So you can say it is referring to this Bootstrap application app.config. So, and this is also one method, and this is can. So let us try to understand this thing right practically. So first of all, right, this import means what? Say, if your class, right, for example, you defined one class or you defined one method that is available in a different file. And from your file, you want to use that class or you want to use, right, that function, then first of all, you need to import that file. And for importing the file, what I need to do? I need to use import keyword and where that file is available. And within this open and close curly braces, you need to specify what you want to use, whether this is going to be a function, whether this is going to be a class, whether this is going to be an interface. That's what you need to specify. So in this case, what I'm doing now, I'm importing this bootstrap function from this file. Clear? So what is the meaning of an import statement? Is that clear? So this main.tx, it is a different file. And this Angular slash platform browser, this is a package that is also available in a separate file. So inside that package, some method, some class, some right interface are available. And if you want to use such class interface method within your file, first of all, you want to import. So it is very similar to our right import statement in C#. So if you want to use one class which is available in a different file, then first of all, you want to import that class file or not? You want to import that namespace or not? Without importing namespace, right, you have to provide the fully qualified name. So if you don't import the namespace, if you don't provide the fully qualified names, right name, then it will give you error. In the same way, first of all, I need to import the package where this function class or interface is available. Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? Then what is this Bootstrap
Hello.
application? Yes.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. See, if you
How are you?
Yeah, tell me what do you want?
who is
I
that
am
guy
for a
talking?
regarding full-time job.
Okay.
What is this here?
Are you currently open to the job market?
Yeah, yeah.
Is this? So you guys are on mute and talking with your job. It's completely okay. So basically, now what is this Bootstrap application? Now move your mouse pointer over to this one. So what is this? Can anybody tell me? This is a function. What is this? This is a function. So what is that? Use a Bootstrap, an instance of an Angular application, Bootstrap an instance of an Angular application, and render a standalone component as the application's root component. So basically what exactly it means, now this is a function, and this function is basically used to bootstrap an Angular application. And now I want to bootstrap my Angular application. So once the index.html file is loaded, I want to bootstrap my Angular application, and that is for that purpose I need this function. So first of all, I want to import this function. So what is the use of this function? It will bootstrap the Angular application. So what exactly it means? It means it is going to create the Angular framework runtime so that right we can convert that TS file to JavaScript file so that we can render our HTML. Right, whatever the HTML, dynamic HTML we can create. It is also going to create the dependency injection system. For example, you created multiple service classes and those classes you want to use right from different locations. So it is also going to initialize the root application. Root application means what is the root component of your application, that what it is going to right bootstrap. For example, Angular, for example, you can consider main method is the starting point. So similarly, when the Angular application is start, then which component is the starting component, that what also it is going to initialize. So before starting, so it will do all these things. So basically this method is responsible for starting the Angular application. Clear?
Yes.
Right. The next one, you can say again, the concept is the same. So import app config from this file. So this is a file. From this file, I'm right loading this app config. Now, if you see here, I'm specifying at the rate Angular platform browser. Means what? This is a package provided by Angular. And here what I'm saying, dot slash app config. So what exactly it means? Now it means within your application app folder. So if you go to dot means it is targeting that root directory. Inside this root directory, there is a folder called app, and inside the app folder, there is a file called app.config is available. Yes, this file is available. So please load that. So now if you go to this one, right? So if you go to this place, right, then you will see what is this. Can anybody tell me what is app config here? What is app config?
The constant of application configuration.
Right. So
Right. So basically,
right. I don't know when she is unmuting. There is a echoing. So let me right. So basically, what is this? Now this is going to be a right variable, right? Constant variable. Constant variable means what? Can anybody tell me? Constant variable
The
means
value
what?
will be never
And
changed.
for app config value, I cannot change. Clear?
Yes.
And this variable is of which type? This variable is of this application config type. Now, if you go to your mouse pointer, then what is this application config?
Yes.
And this interface, right, provide one, right, what I can say. If you go to the definition, right, I don't know whether this simple definition is working. So this interface having one property, what is that property? Provider, and that property is a array of a provider or environment provider. Clear?
Yes.
Now, so basically what exactly it means? Now, within this provider class, we need to provide a list of providers, right? So we'll come to this class file. For now, just remember app config. So what exactly the use of this app config? Now, whatever all providers are registered into your application, those provider I need to write initialize when the application is bootstrap. And for that purpose, I need this app config. This is going to be JavaScript object. So you can say this is a JavaScript object, and this object contains all the global application configurations. So global application configuration means what? What are the router providers are there? What are the HTTP providers are there? What is the error handling provider? All these information, right? I need to initialize. For example, you can consider whenever you are creating any .NET Core application, what is the use of that right program.cs class file main method? So that main method is going to set all the dependency injection classes. It is setting the right what I can say services. It is setting the middleware components or not. Similarly, whatever the default configurations are available, those configurations are not the default one. It is the global configuration. So within this app.config.js file, within the app.config.js app.config file, not JS file, within the app.config file, we are going to define our configurations. And those configurations we need to initialize when our application bootstrap. So basically what you need to understand, now any global configuration you need to define, you need to define those configurations within the app.config.ts file. And while you are bootstrapping the application, you need an instance of that file. And that's it what I'm doing here. Clear? We'll discuss, right, how to register route provider, how to register HTTP provider, how to register, right, error handling, global error handling provider. All these things we are going to discuss. But for now, what we need to do, we just need to understand the global configuration. So we have to register while our application is bootstrap. And for that purpose, I need an instance of my app config. Clear? Clear?
Yes.
So that guy, why calling me again and again? Guys, is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now you need to understand, right? That this bootstrap is done, this app config is done. Next one is app. So what is app? If you see, right, from here, when it starts with the Angular, this is a package provided by the framework. And when it starts with the dot app means what? That this is my root to the right, folder directory, that is src. Within this directory, this file is available. So what is that file? App/app. So within this class app folder, there is a folder class file. You can say app.ts. If you see, this is a class. So now that class I'm loading here. So what is this class? Why I'm loading? Now app is a TypeScript class. First of all, this is a class. You can see it is a TypeScript class. And this class, if you go to this class is decorated with one decorator. That decorator is a component decorator. So what is component? What is selector, import, template, URL style? All these things we are going to discuss right in the next from the next module onwards when we start component. But now just remember, now this is a component class, and the component will tell the Angular, right, that this is a UI component. This component has a template. This component has style, and this component has metadata. So basically, this component is going to represent one user interface, and this user interface is going to be the default user interface for our application. So that's what I'm saying. So basically, this is our component. This is going to be a component. And this is going to be our root component, or you can say default component. And this component is also going to be created only once. So whatever I'm discussing here, bootstrapping process means it is not going to be, this method is not going to execute again and again. This method is not going to execute again and again. This instance is not going to be created again and again. It's one time only. So once I have the method which is going to bootstrap my application, once I have the configuration, global configuration, which I'm going to use throughout my application, once I have the component, which is going to be my root component, right, which will create my first user interface, which is going to be rendered within the right index.html file, what I can do, I can start my application. So how you can start? You inject, right, you import this method. You just need to call this method, and to this method, what you need to do, you just need to pass two parameters. What are the parameters? What is your root component and what is your global configuration? These two methods you need to pass. That's it. And once you call this method, now Angular will take the responsibility. So Angular is going to prepare, right? It is going to prepare how the application is going to be run. That's what it is going to do. So basically, it is going to set the runtime, right? Angular runtime start, dependency injection is defined, app configuration is defined, you are rendering start beginning, right? And while bootstrapping, right? While bootstrapping the application, right? If you go to the go to definition, then you will see some method, right? Logic they have written, right? Creating the application, all these things, right? They have written. So this is not the time, right, to understand what they have written. As we progress, right, definitely I'm going to explain you, right, what code they have written, how it is going to be processing. So while bootstrapping the application, if there is some issue, for example, whatever the configuration you provided, there is some issue within this component class, there is some issue, then it might throw exception, and this global error handler going to catch that exception. So whatever the error occur, it is going to log that error into the console window. Clear?
Panay, I have a question. In
Yes.
this case, app config is like a variable we are defining.
So it is not variable, or yes, it is an instance.
But this app config, can we change the name like app config 1? Can we do this?
Okay, app config one, how you can
Yeah.
do this?
Okay,
You
it is a
can
predefined, I think.
not predefined. Say if you go to this app.config.ts file, so whatever the name you provided, you only need to use the same name. So if you give the name here app.config2, right, then you can make use of app.config2 here,
Okay.
right?
So
If
basically, Bootstrap application is the function that execute only once, right?
it is going to, it is similar to your main method of your right .NET Core application.
Okay, okay, got it.
It set everything which is required for starting your application, including the root component from where, right, it is going to generate the first ready HTML content. So this is clear. So this is going to be the method. We need to invoke this method, and this method accepts two parameters. One is your global configuration information. Another one is going to be your root component. So once I have this, and this file is already created, you can see app.config.cs file. And then this app component is also created. So you can see this is the class name. You cannot provide anything else. Whatever the name, that exact name you need to give, and then you need to call this method, and this method will set up everything. It is going to start the Angular process. While starting that application, while bootstrapping your Angular application, if any error occur, that is going to be logged into the console window. That's it. about this main method. It's main.ts. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right. So once this bootstrap is completed, what exactly? Now Angular bootstrap the root application. So basically, in this case, one file it will come into the picture, Angular config.cs. So what exactly this file is going to do? Let us try to understand, right? So this is one of the important configuration file. You might not understand this file right at this point of time, but I will try to make you understand. So in this case, you can see this is our Angular package. And from this package, I'm loading few information. So you can see app config. This is one interface. Router provider. So this is a function. So basically, this is one interface, and this is one function. These two things I'm loading first of all. So what this interface is going to do? Now this contains application level configuration that Angular understand during bootstrap. So basically from your main.ts file, right? I'm getting this app config instance, right? So you can say I'm getting this app config instance, and that instance I'm providing to the Angular bootstrap process. Then what this file, this app config file, what exactly it is containing? That what we need to understand. So basically you can say, first of all, this is the configuration instance. So basically, and exactly if you consider this app config, it's nothing but an instance of this interface. Are you getting my point? So here I'm using the instance. I'm using the object, but this object is of which type? That type is going to be app config. How you can specify this thing? See, here I'm creating this instance or object. This object I'm using here, and this object type is what? That what I have already discussed tomorrow. So basically, this is an interface which is going to specify the what I can say same. It is not creating an instance of a application config. It is creating a JavaScript object. But this JavaScript object type is going to be this one. So what is the use of this one? Now basically this application config means specify you can provide the value for this property. So if you go to this application config, in this case you will find there is a property called provider, and that provider's value is going to be an array, and that provider I'm providing here. So basically, app config is you can consider app config an instance, not an instance, but it is a JavaScript object, and that shape is defined by this interface application config. Clear? Clear or not?
Yes,
If I
clear.
want to use this interface, then what I need to do? I need to figure out where this interface is defined. So that interface is defined inside this package. So first of all, I need to import that package. The second one you can see provide browser global error listener. So basically what exactly it means? It means it is a TypeScript function and it is set up to global error handling. So here you can see I'm using this catch block. It is going to catch the error. How it is going to catch the error? Now because that global error handler is also enabled for our application. Any unhandled exception is occur that can also be handled by the application, right? So this is for the global app configuration. This is for the global error handling. Clear?
Yes.
Right. And this is the provider router. So basically what is this? Now if you move your mouse pointer, this is a function. So what is the use of this function? Routing. Suppose you want to move from one page to another page, and there is a link provided, and when you click on that link, instead of loading the complete page, you want to load only the specific data. That means routing you need to use. Then for that purpose you need to use this provider router. So I will show you what is the use of this router in some time. For now, just ignore. So basically, you consider this is the routing mechanism. So in your program.cs class file in .NET application, you are using use routing middleware component. So based on the incoming request, it is matched to a particular endpoint. So similarly, when you click on a particular link, then for that particular link, what is the component that will come into the picture? That what you need to define within the router, right? So basically, it will enable that routing feature for your application. So again, this route is nothing but, this will provide see, there are two things you need to understand. Router means it will enable routing for your application. But how that routing is going to be work? For example, this is my path. For this path, this is the endpoint. For that path, that is the endpoint. So for that purpose, right, what you need to do, you need to make use of this route. right, object. So this is one JavaScript object that what you need to use. So again, for time being, I'm not giving more focus to routing because we'll explain that routing concept with one example in some time. So for now, just ignore this thing, right? So now this is going to be app config file. So basically, this config file means this is what I'm right injecting here. I'm creating an instance of this. I'm creating an instance of this type, and here within the provider, right? What I'm doing, I'm calling this right to provide browser global error listener method. So this method I'm calling, and also I'm calling this provider router by passing this route. So currently you can see there is no routes defined. In some time I'm also going to define some route. You will get clarity. So these two things I have provided. So provided, right, what I have done here, I enable that global error handler, and also I provided my list of right routes. So that's it. And this instance, right, I have provided to this method. So this is how this app.config file, right, going to provide the configuration. So what configuration it is providing? It is providing a global error handler. It provided the route. So these two things for time being, right, with this example, right, it is providing two pieces of information. One is global error handler, and another one is the list of a route. That means routing is enabled, global error handling is also enabled. Clear?
Yes. Pranay, does it matter the position of these two the global error handling listeners and provider route?
That is fine. So you can provide any sequence. That is fine.
Okay.
Clear? Clear?
Yeah, we can think these are just works as a middleware component.
Yeah, you can consider these are the middleware components.
Okay.
Could you please repeat again in short?
But what sort?
Pranay, can you please again provide what is the global error listener like when any error
Just
comes
tell
in
me. You just tell me in your .NET Core application, right? For example, if any unhandled error occur, can handle that error.
sorry.
If you create a error handling middleware component,
Yes,
yes, sir.
yes, yes.
So that kind of functionality provided by here. So any unhandled error is occur, he is going to handle that error, right? And this is the router, right? So basically for routing, when you click on one link, it will navigate to another link. So that routing concept is also needs to be provided. So this routing, in this example, routing will not be used, but in right, I will modify the example to make you understand this routing. So here, just consider two things I have enabled right when the application bootstrap. One, global error handling, right? Second one, I'm providing the list of routes, right? That routing is enabled for our application. Clear?
Yes.
Right. Again, when the bootstrap process is there, this is my configuration that is going to be used by the Angular. Another thing we have provided app. So app means what? Now this is a component class. So now if you go to this app.ts, right? So this is my component class, and this is going to my right root component. So root component means what? Now this is the component which is going to contain the actual UI code, actual business logic, and that is what going to be rendered within the right. What I can say app HTML. Sorry, within we have one file called index.html. Within this app root right element, what exactly going to display that what is going to be defined by app.ts file. So now let us try to understand. So now in this case, so you can see I'm injecting two things. One is component and another one is signal. So what is component? Now basically if you want to create a class as a component, right? What is component I will discuss in detail, right? From the next session onwards, we are going to start model 2, and model 2 means it is all about component and directives. So in this case, just remember, right? Component is a special directive, right? Director function. Component is a special director function. Now, if you move your mouse pointer, right, you can see it is an interface, right? And this interface, right, you can decorate with one like a function, right? You can see this is like a function, And using this function, this is a component director function. So basically, you can you can imagine this is something like attribute class. So the way you are decorating the attribute with the class, the way you are decorating attribute with the function, similarly, this component basically it is a attribute class you can consider. Why we are using attribute? To provide some metadata to the class and the function, right? For example, if I decorate my method with a allow anonymous, if I decorate my method with a what I can say authorize, then that allow anonymous and authorize, they are providing some additional metadata for that function. Similarly, when I create a class, if I want to convert that class into a component, then I need to decorate that class. So here my class definition, and I decorated that class definition with the component decorator. And this, to use this component decorator, I need to import that decorator first. So here you can say this is my decorator. So that's what I have used. So basically, this is decorator going to provide some metadata. What information it is going to provide? It is going to tell whether this is a component. If it is a component, what is the component selector? What is the associated UI file that is going to be rendered? What is the associated CSS file that is going to be used inside the UI? All this information it is going to give. I will show you what are the information. The second parameter, you can see this is a function, right? Special decorator interface. So this is not a interface function. So actually this is right. You can consider this is a function. So it's a interface, but it is behave like a function, right? So this is a special function, and this function basically used to exchange the data between the template and the component class. So basically, what exactly it means? It means if I'm having one value within my property, for example, you are having a class. Within that class, you are having a property. That property contains some data. You want to store this property data into the UI element, and that whenever the UI makes some changes to that particular element, again you want to print that value to your component element. Then for that purpose you need a signal means it is giving exchanging. The signal means specifically it is used for exchanging the data between the UI component and between the UI element and our component class properties. So for that purpose I'm going to make use of the signal. Again, the signal you will get in more detail when we discuss data binding concept. So how you are going to bind the data from your component class properties to the elements of a UI. So at that time you will get more clarity. So this is to give some additional metadata about a class. This is specifically used for data exchange between the UI and our component class. Clear? How to use these two things I will show you in some time. Clear?
Yes.
Right. So this is my route outlet and the route link. So basically you can see this route outlet, it is a directive class. So route outlet is a directive class. Route link, it is also a directive class. So what is the use of this directive class? Now this directive class act as a placeholder in the template. So basically, whenever I'm creating a template, inside that template also, I can create some router outlet. So what is the use of router outlet? The router outlet is going to tell when routing is happening, that that routing related what I can say UI you can inject here. How you can inject here, I'm going to show you. And then this route link means if you are providing some link through the route, then you can make use of this route link. How to use? That what also I'm going to show. So basically these two things as of now, this routing related things, as of for time being, ignore it. So for time being, just ignore what is this route outlet and route link. I will give you one example in some time, and you will get more clarity. What is exactly route outlet? What is exactly route link? Clear?
Sorry, Pranay, as of now, it is no, it is not understood.
So as of now, I'm not explaining anything about route outlet and route link. Just ignore. So you understood this too or not?
Yes, yes, yes.
Right. So for now, for time being, just ignore this route outlet and route link. I will give you one
Okay.
example with clarity. You will get it. Clear?
Okay, okay, okay.
So this component, it is a decorator, means what? It is providing some metadata about a class. So when a class, so this app, you can say it is a class, it is decorated with this @component. So that class becomes a component class, right? So this @ directive tells to the Angular that this class is a component class. And as it is a component class, it will provide some information, some right, what I can say, metadata to the Angular. So what metadata it is going to provide, let us try to observe. So now if you look at my index.cs file, so does this index.cs file having this app root element?
Yes.
So now if you come to this this app component class, so there is a selector. What is that selector name?
App-root.
App root.
App root. So basically it is telling to the Angular framework, hey Mr. Framework, whatever the HTML you rendered, wherever you find app root, please replace that app root with this file, whatever I provided in the template URL. I'm not explaining this one also at this point of time. Clear? So what it is
Yes.
telling to the Angular framework, hey Mr. Framework, already one HTML file is loaded, whatever may be the HTML file. If that file contains this app.root element, then please replace that app.root element with this app.html file, HTML code. So basically, if you see, for guys, remember for each component means what? If I'm creating a component, that component should have an associated HTML file. So for example, you can see app.ts. This is my ts means class. And for this one, you can see app.html. This is the right, this is the template file. So now if you open, so this HTML file contains so many HTML element, right? So this is containing so many HTML element. So basically, what this app.ts component directive telling to the Angular framework, please replace this uproot element which you find within the right index.html file, which you find, where is my index.html file, with the template URL what I provided, and the template URL contains this app.html. So that app.html, right, going to be the file. Clear? Clear or not?
Okay.
Now, this is style URL. So while you are rendering this HTML, do you want to apply any CSS? Yes. So where that CSS is defined? After the CSS. See, if you have any CSS, that CSS will be applied to this HTML. And once it render the HTML, right, then it is going to render that as part of the your main element. I mean, as part of this app.root, right? Again, one more thing you need to understand. So in this app class, right, in this class, you can also say, I have defined one variable. What is that variable name? Title. And this variable I have defined using what function? I'm defined using this signal function. So what exactly it means? It means it will accessible inside the class. So once you define this variable, right, and here you can say Angular automatically renders in the UI. So basically, if you want to read the value, you can call this one, you can set this value, right? Here I'm calling this title function, it will read this value and it will set that value here, and this value you can also render, right? How to render I'll show you in some time, and that's it, right? So basically it is going to be this app component having one title property, and that title property contains some data using the signal function. What is the use of the signal function means? It is going to send the data to the UI. Also, it can receive the data from the UI. Not a one-way direction. You can consider this is a two-way right binding. So clear? This part is clear? Clear?
Yes, Pranay, that title variable, it should be title or we can name anything.
See, basically, here I provided title, right? Why I'm providing title? If you go to this, the corresponding HTML file, app.html, so somewhere it is going to make use of that variable. Let me find this one. So here it is using this hello title name,
Okay, I got it.
right? So whatever name you provided, that will come into the picture. If you provided it instead of a title, if you give my title, then you have to use my title there only.
I
Clear?
got it. Thank you.
So now,
But
yes.
but the signal is mainly used for the tracking the like the value. If any changes in the value, that is tracked, right?
Yes. So basically, you know what do you mean by, see, as of now, just forget about. There are a different way of binding, one-way binding, two-way binding, right? Do you know what do you mean by two-way data binding?
Yes, you told that we
Oh,
can.
I have not explained what is two-way data binding. I said there is a right two-way data binding concept, but how it is working? Do you have any idea?
No.
So when value change, UA automatically update the value.
Exactly. So if I'm changing that value here, automatically it will send a signal to the UI. So you do not need to refresh the UI. Automatically that UI is going to be clear,
Okay.
right? So how it is? So first of all, you can see browser will load your index file. From here, it will invoke that main.ts. Main.ts is going to bootstrap your Angular application. While it is bootstrapping, it will make use of global configuration file, and also it is going to create an instance of the app. I mean your root component. That root component is going to have one selector. That selector is similar to the element what you provided in the index.html. And root component is also going to tell what the UI element to be rendered. So once it decide that URL, right? I mean, once it decide that template URL, then that template URL is going to be rendered. Rendered means what? It is going to be executed by the Angular engine. It is going to prepare the dynamic HTML, and that dynamic HTML is going to be replaced within the app underscore root element what we provided in the index.html file. Clear? Now,
Yes.
now,
Yes.
Yes.
now let us try to run this application and see, right? So open the terminal, then ng serve. So router link is not used within the template. So where is that router link?
It is in
app.ts,
app.ts.
app.ts.
App.ts file.
App.ts.
So we have not used. So currently you can remove this one. That is fine because we have not provided any configuration for the same. Right now it is built successful. So now, right, you can open this one. So now you can say, hello, my first Angular app started. So this is what it is reading from where? It is reading from here. My first Angular started. So instead of my, what I'm doing here, I'm writing here, your Angular app started. And now I'm just coming to here. So is that automatically changed? I may refresh the page. No. But why? Even though I have not refreshed the page, it is automatically changed. Why? Now because of the signal. Signal means whenever the value changes, it will send a signal to the UI. Hey, Mr. UI, this property value has been changed. Please update a UI. Again, when you update the value in the UI, it can also send a signal to your code so that the code can get the updated value. That is two-way data binding. We'll discuss those concepts in detail. But for now, you understood what is the process, what is the step, right? How the Angular application is bootstrapped. So first of all, index.html, then your JavaScript, I mean this TS file is going to be executed, then it will bootstrap the Angular, and Angular is going to render the UI. Render the UI means it will send one UI that is going to be replaced within the uproot element, whatever the root element you define within the index.html file. So till now, anyone having any question? If you are having question, right, so it makes sense, right? As you progress, you will get more and more clarity. Clear?
Yes.
Right. Now what I'm going to do is I want to make you understand routing. So to understand routing means what? Now currently you can see this is how I have developed the project. So to understand routing, what we need to do? We need to move one page to another page. But when I'm moving from one page to another page, I don't want to, what I can say, I don't want to uh, reload the complete page. Rather than I want only to reload that portion of the page. So for that purpose, what I need to do, I need to use routing concept. So first of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to modify my what I can say app.html file. So where is my app.html file? This is the index.html file. and this is the app.html file. So this file I'm going to replace. So currently you can see my app.html file going to have 3 links. And that link what I specified using anchor tag. So if I'm not using anchor tag and if I'm using href, guys remember there are 2 ways to define the link. One is using href, another one what is I'm using here, this route link, right? This route link which is provided by Angular. So route link means what? Now it is going to make use of right, it will not reload the page completely. If you are using href, when you click on the link, it will completely reload the page. So that is the reason why whenever you are working with Angular application, try to avoid the href. If until and unless that case doesn't make sense, right? For example, you want to navigate from one application to a different application altogether, href is fine. Within the same page, you want to only update the some portion of the content, then in particularly in that case, it doesn't make sense to reload the complete page. In that case, route link is fine. So basically, this route link, what we are using here, this route link, what we are using here is specifically for creating link in the UI, right? And again, guys, remember 2 things I need to explain here. So basically, this is my index.html. So at this particular point, when the application runs, this app root will be replaced with my app.html file. So this app root will be replaced with my app.html file. But within this app root HTML file, what I have provided router outlet. Sir, what do you mean by router outlet? Now, router outlet means what? Now, when I click on this HTML link, then for this route path, whatever the component is associated, then for that particular component, what is the associated HTML file? That HTML file is going to be rendered here. Only this portion is going to be changed. It is not going to change the navigation bar. It is not going to change the header. Nothing is going to be changed. Only this portion is going to be changed. When I click on this product route link, so then whatever the component associated with this path, that particular component HTML is going to be rendered where within this router outlet. If you're not getting this concept, don't worry. So what I'm going to do right now, let me Control C, stop the application first. Right? Then I'm going to create a few components so that you will get more clarity. So let me start with my application. Right? First of all, right, I need to create some component. So what is the syntax? You know already. See how to create a component, where to create a component. Now component basically, guys, remember here you can say app is a component. So any component that what we are going to create, that is going to be created inside the SRC folder. And whatever the component name you provided, that name is also going to become the folder name within the SRC. And within that folder, it is going to create a few files. What are the files? Basically, it is going to create one CSS file, one PS file, and one HTML file. So those files it is going to create. How to create a component? Now the syntax is ng, that is Angular. G means generate. C means a component name. So you can use this syntax, or you can also use this syntax, anything fine. So here G for generate, C for component, whatever the name you want to give, you can give. So for my application, you can see I'm going to have a 3 different link. One is home, another one is product, another one is about. So what I can do is I can give the right link, something like this. So I'm going to generate 3 component files. So first of all, you can say ng GCO. So once I execute, so you can see how many files it is creating. One is specification for unit testing, another for my actual code, another CSS file, another HTML file. Now, if you see here, right, currently, right, you can see that home component is created. Now, again, if you see, right, uh, then I want to create, right, another 2 component. But before that, right, you understand how to create a component. You have to use this NGC. NG for Angular. Instead of G, you can specify generate. C for you can specify component. And that component is going to be created inside the app folder. So I have already told you whenever you are going to work with Angular means you have to work with this src and app folder. So when I'm creating any component, that component is also going to be created here. So now this home is going to contain only the home component related files. Now within this home component, you can see I want to modify the TS class file, and I also want to modify the right HTML file. So this is going to my TS class file. So here you can see what I specified. Now I'm specifying this component. This is going to my component decorator, and this component decorator is going to render what HTML file? It is going to render this home.html, and this is going to my home.html file. So that what I need to provide. Any HTML string you want to provide, you can provide. So these two things I have done. Next, what I need to do, I need to create my product component. So do the same process, ng JC product. So this is going to create the product template like this home. You can see this product template is also there. So go to the product.ts file. So all these things you can simply ignore. So this is not required. So you can see this is my product.html file, and this product.html file is related to which template? I mean related to which class? Product class. Now again you can go to this product.html file, and this class file code, right? You can also replace. Similarly, I want to create another component, that is about component. So again, not here. You can create another component, and again you can say another component is created about. Go to the TS file, remove this unnecessary, only keep the HTML template URL, that's it. And go to the HTML file, and also replace the whatever the changes you want to do, you can do it here. So that's fine. So what I have done, I have done the changes. Now okay, so before that what I need to do, app.ts. So this TS file I need to replace earlier, because that otherwise you will face the issue. Okay. Now, okay. So that's it. Now what I need to do, I need to enable routing for my application. So how we can enable routing? So first of all, for your application, they have provided one class file, that is app.route.ts. So this is the file where you need to provide the routing information. Which file? App.route.ts. So in this file, right, what I need to do, I need to define all my routing information. So how you can define the routing information? Please observe what I'm specifying. Now, first of all, I'm loading this route to array, route to array. So this is one array where I need to register all my routes. So here you can say I'm also registering all my component class. So three component I have created. What are the component I have created? I have created some. Okay, I have created some three component: home, product, and about. So these three component I have imported. Then I'm specifying this routes array. So this routes array, so this is an array, so that variable I'm creating. And here I'm specifying the path and the component name. So for the default path, the component is going to be home. If the path contain product, that component is going to be product. If the path is going to be about, the component is going to be about. Clear? So here basically
Yes.
I have created one route array. That array contains the path and the associated component. And if you see, this path is going to be empty, product, and this one. And if you go to our app.html, so here also I'm specifying. So this is empty, this is product. So after this slash, I have provided anything, nothing, means empty. After this slash, what is the path name? Product. After this slash, what is the path name? About. So basically that path information I have provided here. And when the user click on this path empty, which component will come into the picture? Route. When the user click on this product, which component will come into the picture? Product. When the user click on this one, then this will come into the picture. Clear? Clear or not? Okay. Now what changes I need to do, guys? Now within your app.ts file,
Sir,
you have to
in
enable route link you have to enable here. Clear?
sir, in
So now,
router link, we have already mentioned the link, right? The path.
sorry.
In app.html,
So this is
we have
router outlet. Router outlet means what? Now where the routing related HTML content is going to be displayed. Let me run the application and show you this thing practically. So basically next what you need to do, modify the app.ts file. So one more changes. So basically what you need to do within this router link you need to include. So, okay. So if you are not including this router link, what will happen? That that link will not be there. Let me run this application first of all. So ng, sure. So now come to this place. So here you can see. So my Angular app, what is the default path?
Home page.
Default path is
Empty.
empty one, right? For
Oh,
empty, is there any path defined in our application in app.route?
yes.
Which path?
Home component. Home.
Home component. Now it will go to the home component class. Is there any home component class we defined? Yes. So and in this home component part, what is the URL it specified? home/html. Is this home/html is available? Yes. So this home/html. So basically it is going to load. First of all, it will load this page. Inside this page, whatever the router outlet we define, that router outlet will be replaced with this home.html. So this section is not going to be changed. Only this part is going to be changed. So you can say this is my Angular app, home product, all this thing. This is the route. Right? This is the route template that content is going to be replaced. Now, if I click on this home, then what will if I click on this product, then what will happen? Now again, right? It is going to check. Right, for that particular I mean for that particular path, is there any routing information defined? Yes, defined. What is that component? Yes, that is the product component. Then for product component, what is the template URL? That template is going to be replaced with this router outlet. So first of all, you need to understand that right in index.html, this is going to be replaced with your app.html. So this index.html will be replaced with app.html. In app.html, whatever the route outlet you define, that is going to be replaced with the actual page, right? What you are accessing. Getting my point? And how this is happening? Now, for this purpose, you need to provide the route information. In this routes table, right? In this routes array, you need to define the path, and for this path, what component will come into the picture. And for each component that associated, right, template we define. So for this about to class, what is the template URL? This is the URL. Similarly, for the product class, what is the right for the product template? What is the HTML file? This is the HTML file. For now, if I click on this home, you can see that product data is going to change. So in this case, this header, this menus, they are not going to be changed. Only this part is changing. This is single page application. Within the single page, only the content are going to be changed. Clear? Clear, guys? Right now. Now, what I'm going to show you one more thing, right? So in the app.ts, if I remove this one, then what will happen? Now, is there any link?
No.
No.
But now what I'm doing here, I'm clicking on this right product. So it is showing the product data.
Yes.
But in this case, what happening? Now complete page refreshing is happening. if you see, if I'm right clicking here home, right, or you can say if I'm clicking here about, that the complete page, you can see this is changing, means a complete page reloading is happening. And you can see that right, the linking is not working. So basically, right, in your code, right, in app.html, I'm using this route link. So if I'm using this route link to make this home as a link, so what I need to do, I need to enable, I need to import that package. I mean, I need to import that route link into this component class, so that, right, this is my app component, so that within anywhere, right, if you are using, so particularly this app.html, if I'm using this route link, then this route link must be included within the component directory. So this route outlet means, right, this is important. This is enabling the routing, and this is going to make your application route to, I mean, right, whatever the route link you define, that will become a route only if you import this route link package. Clear? Now you can see it is happening. So now there is no page recycle, page load, right? Complete page loading, it's not happening. If this is not clear at this moment, guys, remember, this is what we are going to discuss on daily basis. On a daily basis, we are going to create, right, we are going to work with the component. So what I'm right, explaining today, I'm just explaining the overview how the application is working. From the next class onward, right, I'm going to start with the component. What is a component? What are the, why we need a component? How to create a component, right? What are the things you can do with the component? So all these things we are going to discuss one by one. Clear? Anyone
Uh,
having any question? Yes.
Panay, I have a question. Like before this, you told that component is like a decorator. But when
Yes.
you create home product, it is also the component you said.
Yes.
So
When I
like
created, this is also component. So what is exactly component? So basically, I'm not decorating this with the at the rate component. So what will happen? That this will become a simple JavaScript class, not a component class. So what is exactly a component? What is the need of a component? Why we are creating component in our application? We are going to discuss from the next session onward. So actually, that module two, it is all about, right, what I can say, our components and the directives. Right? So in model 2, we are going to start component and the template. So what is component? What is template? So you can say Angular component fundamental we'll discuss. Then we'll discuss this at the component director. What is the use of all these things? What is template? Then we'll discuss data binding mystery, right? So different ways to binding the data. Then we are going to discuss what do we mean by nested component, right? Parent component, child component. Then we are going to discuss how you can make use of the right styling of your application. Finally, we'll complete with a component lifecycle. So all these things we are going to discuss, and 100% you will get the clarity. Today, just discuss, right, the life cycle of, right, I mean, how the Angular application bootstrap. I'm not explaining that component directive, all this thing, right, in detail. I just explain how the application bootstrap, and for that purpose, how the routing is working. That is the reason why I created few components. But again, right from the next class onward, I'm going to discuss. I'm going to start the Angular components. Clear? Clear?
yes.
Yes.
Sir, in app.ts, we already have router link, right? That path also we mentioned in app.ts. Then why again we are mentioning that in app.route.ts?
App.ts, in app.ts, where we define the path.
Not here, app.html. Sorry.
Uh,
In app.html also, we have not defined. So here, what we are creating, this is the UI element. UI element means it is going to render a link in the UI. Right? But when I click on this link, what component will come into the picture? Is that information I provided here?
Okay.
So for example,
Okay, sir.
so if you are thinking that this home, that component name is same. For example, if you give me my home, right? For example, if you provided get all, get product, if you provided here about us, now tell me, So by looking at this configuration, can you tell me when I click on this get product, what component will come into the picture? You can't tell. That is the
Yeah.
reason why
It will
routing is
come
suppose
routing.
here,
Hmm.
clear guys?
Yeah, whatever the path we are giving, that path matching only it will respective page will render.
So this is going to be the path name, and for this path, what is the component name? That what we need to define here. You can give
Okay,
any
got it.
path name you provided. What is the corresponding component? And based on the component,
Panay, can you come at app.ts? Here, we have used import router link, and in the import section, we have we have imported the router link. So in the component, why we are defining this router link, as we have imported from the Angular/router.
see, see, basically this is your outer outlet. This is your outer link. So if I'm not defining this one, for example, if you go to the definition, right? So this is going to be, see, there are so many service classes are available. But do you want to use this router link on your project or not? See, this is what, for example, you can consider. I'm I'm writing one namespace. Import whatever the namespace you provided. Within that namespace, whatever class are available, if you are not going to use, is that going to give you any kind of a error or warning? So here, what we are doing, we are just importing the classes, interfaces, functions.
Okay.
Whether we want to use those classes, interfaces, and function, that's what we need to mention. If I'm not providing here, then what exactly it means? It means a router link is not enabled for your application.
Okay.
So if router link is not enabled for your application, then what will happen? That this router link will not work. So it will consider this is a plain text. No anchor tag is going to be generated. So that what, for example, okay, let me do this thing. I remove this one, save this one. Now come here. Is there any link?
No.
Right? So for that purpose, I need to enable this one. So now if you come to this space, you can see my home, get product, about us, all are created as. So this is, we are just importing that class and namespace. And here we are using that class and name. To use this one, I have to import that one first. Clear?
Okay.
Okay, this will enable routing, and this will make sure that route link, if you use, that will generate a anchor tag in the UI. Clear, guys? And this
Yes.
is for the route, right? I mean, whenever routing is happening, that router related HTML that is going to be rendered here. Whatever the route component it is rendering, that component HTML it is going to execute. And this component HTML, right? This complete HTML, it is going to render within the index.html file. Clear? So how the process is going to be happening? First, for example, if I click on write product.html, so this product.html is going to be generated, and this product.html will be append here within this app.html, and this app.html it is going to be rendered inside the home.html file. Clear?
Just one
Yes,
basic
sir.
question again.
Correct?
So I understand one question. So I understand the routing and the rendering of HTML and everything. Just want to know the link where between the app.html and or app.ts and app.route.ts. Like how do we know that it is pointing to that particular file name? Yeah.
Hey, what is this?
So
This is my route instance, right?
yeah.
So now if you come to this app.ts file, right, not this app.ts, which file, right, out of this file, which file is used for global configurations?
Yeah.
App.config.
The app.config.
This was
Now
correct.
in app.config, am I using that
Okay.
route?
Okay. Okay. Got
And
it.
as I'm providing this route means when the application bootstrap, this already know what is the routing information or not?
Yeah.
This routes is nothing but you can say it is an instance of the app.route. So this is. So that means at the time of bootstrap, we have already told right that Angular framework. This for this part, this is the component. This information we are already provided right at the time of bootstrapping the application. Clear? See,
Got it. Yeah.
A1, it is not possible to understand the complete flow of the Angular application. But what I can assure you, as we progress right in this training program, you will get more and more clarity on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Clear?
Got it, sir. Yeah. And for the entire Angular application, right? There should be only one app.route.ts, or
Yeah,
there can be many.
this is your right app.route.ts means only one. That is the
Mm.
global configuration file. Only one. You can create so many right template classes, right component classes. That is fine. This is provided by default to us. You can only one app.cs, one app.config, one app.ts, one app.html, one index.html file also. But you can create a right as per your requirement. You can create a number of component services, dependency, many things, models, many things are there which we will discuss right one by one.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
But now what I want to make you understand, are you getting how the single page application is working? That right, little bit information are you getting or not? How it is handling only a part of a page. It is not completely reloading the page. Are you getting that part or not?
Yes. Yes, sir.
That is what my
Yes. Thank you.
I have a little bit confusion about the classes each component have, like how the class and the HTML is communicating to each.
Hey guys, say right whatever all your queries right related to component and all these things we'll discuss tomorrow. Right, not tomorrow. We'll discuss Monday because the duration of the session is going to be 8:30 to 10, and after that I can take maximum 15-20 minutes to right, clarify all your doubt. If still anyone having any doubt, I will right clarify in the next session. So because today is not about right, I have not started any particular topic. So this is just an overview of how Angular application is working. I know many questions are related to routing, many questions are related to component, many questions you should have related to configuration, many questions you should have related to template. Don't worry, all this concept we are going to discuss right one by one because I have already shown you right what I am going to discuss next. Next, I'm going to start the Angular component, and in Angular component, it will take at least 3 sessions to make you understand what are the different component, what are the decorator. I mean, why I'm using this component decorator, what are the inline component, external templates, all these things we are going to discuss, different data binding techniques, right? What is the link between the template class and the HTML file? How it is identifying that for this template class, this is the right HTML file that what I need to in the right render. All these things we are going to discuss. Today, it is not about understanding component. Today, it is not about understanding right configurations or routing. Today, it's all about understanding how right application is bootstrapped. I mean, it is not like I run the application and Angular render the right pages. So first of all, it will render the HTML file. In the HTML file, we should have one right template, approved template. For this approved template, it is going to execute the TS file. From that TS file, it is going to execute the right HTML file. That HTML file element, it is going to render within the index file. So that's what you need to understand, right? Again, if you are not understanding, don't worry, we are going to discuss this thing right again and again. Clear? Yeah. So the next session is on Monday. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.